Gold is a resource we've used to store value for millennia. Up until the 20th century, it served as the foundation of major global currencies. And although it's still relevant as an asset in the digital era, its physical nature is limiting its use cases. But what would happen if you combined gold with the latest blockchain developments? Meet Gcoin, a digital title to physical gold that uses blockchain-powered tokens to provide new levels of utility and trust for gold in today's economy. We would like to introduce you to the founder of Emergent Technology, the company behind Gcoin, and talk about the applications of blockchain in redefining traditional stores of value. We will discuss what decentralized technology brings to the table for gold, and what is its future as a trusted asset. We will also go through Gcoin's origin story and how 10Clouds developers have helped with transitioning it from private to public blockchain in order to maximize its utility. Welcome to 10Clouds Voices on how blockchain powers gold in the digital age.
Perfect. Hi, Brent. Welcome to this live stream of our kind of like interview between 10Clouds and Emergent. Very much welcome.
Thanks,
to give
Dennis.
you a
Great to be here.
Yeah, sure. It's great to have you. So as a small introduction, I'm Dennis. I'm a blockchain lead and head of sales at 10Clouds. We've been on the market for 12 years and specialized mostly in software development, but basically focused mostly since the last 2 years on fintech and blockchain products. And as you can see, I have with me here Brent de Jong, who's basically both founder and, if I'm saying that correctly, also a board member or founding board member of Emergent Technology, one of our long-standing partners. And we've been working with them together to build the infrastructure for Gcoin, a gold-backed stablecoin, and a verified supply chain for trusted gold. Am I doing that introduction correctly, Brent?
Absolutely, Dennis. No, thanks. Yeah, it's been a journey, and it's amazing. We founded or started the Gcoin concept in 2013. Think about how far back we were, and some of the early contributors to the project were, kind of forward-looking enough to encourage us to actually patent our tokenization method, and so we've got early into a lot of our conceptualization, but the last 5 years have been building heavy, and very much appreciated the relationship with 10Clouds during those really almost 5 years now. It's pretty amazing to see how long we've been building out just a global product.
I'm just realizing it now that this has been already a journey for like almost 5 years, where we had the luck to be inclusive for the most of that part. But for anyone who might not be that familiar yet with what you do and what you're focused on, could you tell us a bit more about Gcoin and what is it? What is the main difference between what we understand cryptocurrencies are?
Yeah, so we use crypto technology, but we're not a cryptocurrency. We're an asset. And that was very fundamental in the design of the ecosystem, because we really started with US law. And we went back all the way to the 1800s and looked at like some of the grain exchange in Minneapolis and looked at the legal structure there of, hey, there's a warehouse receipt, you can show up, pick up your asset. And basically, we wanted to digitize that process, so that there was no doubt at all that anybody that had a Gcoin, that they had a title to the asset. In our case, we have pretty unique special assets. We have something called responsible gold kilobars that we manufacture. And you alluded to this on the introduction, Dennis, is that we go all the way back to the mining of that gold, and we look at what are the mining methodologies, how's labor treated, what's environmental, how they work with communities, and are they working in a responsible way in order to extract that gold and also repair that site once they're, or close the mine in a good productive way as well. And so we follow that gold on our blockchain all the way from that beginning through the refiner, through the vault, and the logistics companies, obviously, and customs, and all of these recordable events on a blockchain, so that you have that final provenance and that asset and those asset cards that are created. And then you can have the title, the legal title to that. And it's pretty powerful to use their combine a real world process, legal, with the new technology. And I think that's really what we're doing that's unique, is that really harmonious linkage between those different things. And that's what Gcoin's about, is that just absolute assurance in terms of what you own. And it can do it only because of the new crypto technologies, but it can only do it because we spent the time and the real world process and legal environment to design it.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at that specifically, we can see that there's a lot of projects out there, specifically also tied towards both digitalizing assets as much as cryptocurrencies, in which we don't directly, let's say, relate Gcoin. But most of them are quite immature in its current state. At the same time, Emergent Technologies has been there for 5 years in the earlier stage of where the market is right now. Where are we practically? Like, what would you say is the current state of where you stand right now of Gcoin, and what are we going to look into in the upcoming, let's say, 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, so it's exciting time for us because we've laid that groundwork of not just the design and the obvious building and functioning of the technology, but a lot of the regulatory framework. So we're regulated or cleared or have no action letters in 33 states in the U.S., the EU, Switzerland. We're with FINMA or an SRO there called VQF, Dubai, Brazil, and Dubai, it's a specifically licensed, approved business plan. Brazil's, a confirmation from the central bank as well as the CNB. So we have all these clearances around the world that it's, hey, we recognize Gcoin is an asset, and those that are handling it either are don't need to be regulated or are regulated, and they are regulated in such a way that they're approved to do business within those jurisdictions. And having now both the technology and the regulatory recognition, now is the time to go for that explosive global launch. We've kept it very, very small in terms of access in the United States. And while all of these processes have been simultaneously going on, but now that that's done, it's like, okay, let's go. And that's what I'm so excited about, because you think about it, if we conceptualized in 2013, but we've been building for 5 years, now here's a 10-year buildup almost, to get to the point where it's like, okay, we're ready for a global, competition, in terms of, currencies or value transfers or ways to interact. And so it's a pretty exciting time. We're gonna, if you want a little bit of sneak preview, Diwali's around the corner. For those who may not know the Indian culture, Diwali's a big gold time in the year, and so early November, we're very focused on, okay, let's start going through these markets that we've been spending time in, and let's start making Gcoin available. And so it's going to be a pretty exciting next few months here, Dennis.
And that's also the beauty, as I understand it, is that your focus is not necessarily just within the US market, but kind of the inclusion of anyone that can participate. As you understand it correctly, initially, also it was built out more in a kind of a private blockchain. So there was only a certain amount of, let's say, accessibility. But one of the stages that you're currently going through is make it more, let's say, scalable in the amount of people that would have access to Gcoin, including the possibility of buying it at exchanges. Do I understand it correctly that this would therefore also be the next step, like kind of like scaling the amount of people that will have access towards using Gcoin?
Absolutely. And our vision from the very beginning, or what we were very passionate about, I've worked in what's known as the emerging markets most of my career, often as an investor. And so, in fact, I've done things in 50 countries, I've visited 100 countries, and that's really what we're passionate about, is seeing that inability to participate in a gig economy, or if they were able to participate, it was so disadvantaged. Remittance fees sending money down, or payment processing fees, bringing back up. And so the Gcoin was designed to really elevate global emerging market citizens so they can participate on an equal basis. I'm here in New York today, so that's one of the centers that everybody says, okay, here's the center. But it's like, okay, well, I want that Central African farmer or that Amazon merchant to be on an equal playing field, with somebody here on Wall Street, that they know that they can be trusted, that they can, don't have currency disadvantages, these cost disadvantages. And so that's what we designed Gcoin for. And, as I said, we're just now getting to the point where we're able to kind of open it up or unleash it on a global basis. And so, it's exciting that we can actually have a chance to start accomplishing the original mission, or problem that we set out to fix. And we had a lot of design choices that we had to make, and we started in private permissioned, because really when we started, it was amazing just how dirty of a word blockchain was. And and it's like, it's just a technology, right? It doesn't have a set of values, but yet there was this kind of misunderstanding. Obviously today the world's so different, and there's such an understanding and embracing of not just the technologies, but even some of the cryptocurrencies and different things. So so we are in a good spot, having put out that regulatory footprint for the token itself, for some of our own legal entities that are handling the token, but also now exchanges are more accepted. There are sandboxes, if not specific regulations or general acceptance, that's just pretty broad and pervasive around the world. Not in all cases, but for sure, but generally, it's a much more open environment today. So we feel a lot better about opening or building a bridge from a private network to a public network today because of that acceptance, kind of broadly. With that said, we are, our mission of kind of elevating people to be able to participate, you can't just totally unleash, a token into the public. You have to do it in a responsible way, so that hey, compliance is still happening. That these are trusted people owning these tokens. So we are only putting it on platforms or exchanges that have the same ethos that we do, in terms of that really rigid review of the users or owners of these tokens. And so that they are compliant and trusted, people. And that's compliance and regulation's been, at our just heart in terms of the original problem that we're solving, and we've been able to tackle that in so many ways.
Mm. And next to the compliance part, because it's an interesting use case itself, kind of the transformation you've been undergoing and kind of giving that accessibility. What was the biggest challenge, do you feel, maybe product wise or compliance wise, for you to make sure that would move in a smooth manner? Being able to give that access through exchanges for the Ethereum network, to make sure that people could buy Gcoin.
Yeah, so it's we have an internal product we call Gold Star, and it was just a way to start. Hey, get 1 star if you have shared so much information with us, and so that 1 star gets you basic functionality in terms of being able to own a Gcoin, or if you Because really there's a fear factor, and people, do I trust data? Do I trust technology companies? Are they going to handle my data properly, right? And so it's like, okay, here, look, give us a little bit, we'll get you involved. 2 stars, starts once you've really validated your, not just your digital, but also your physical identity, and then we move to 3 stars and beyond, and then the transactability level becomes quite significant as you move through that trusted level. And so it's a two-way street. So we are helping customers feel comfortable, but also customers have to trust us that we're doing things in such a way. So that's within our private permissioned ecosystem, and then you move into like, how do you connect into different systems? So we connect with MoneyGram, for example. So our users and their users are both gone through compliance, and effectively our users are their users and their users are our users. I mean, it's that level of interchangeability that we've created with that kind of ecosystem. And we do the same thing with e-wallets, and whether it's Paytm in India, because we're a payments company and we're providing payment services as well, or eventually exchanges. And those exchanges are using the same standards that a bank uses. And it's pretty exciting to see the level of sophistication that exchanges and others in the crypto world are carrying out their business today.
I understand. An additional challenge that we face within the whole DeFi sector is the accessibility, specifically for anyone to be able to use the platform, especially the Gcoin wallet. Were there any challenges for you to make sure that you provide the ability for anyone to easily onboard towards what you provide? Like, was there any struggles that you faced, and how did you work with that specific aspect?
Yeah, so beyond the user comfort or trust, then there's a lot of laws and regulations around handling of customer information or private PII, right? And so it's ultimately the easy way to exchange is on a tokenized basis. And so you can create this anonymity in terms of the way that people can work within the system, but yet still have the transparency to get there. So we often talk about you got to be anonymous but transparent, right? So and it's say, well, can the two coexist? And in this world, it can, with tokenization, with math hash tables and AI algorithms. It's pretty exciting to see that you can rethink that trust or trustless. You can be trusted and trustless at the same time, and you can be anonymous and transparent at the same time, and it's pretty exciting to see these combinations through this new technology. Being able to come to market and really enabling these use cases of being able to move across platforms. And I don't think anybody's really truly solved identity yet. There's a lot of people working on it within the blockchain community and within the non-blockchain community as well. And so it's I think it's only going to get more exciting over time, with these kind of data sharing. At the end of the day, Dennis, and I mean, this because you've been with us, side by side the whole way. All we're really doing is attaching data and payments, or whether it's KYC or an asset, information or whatever it is. You're just attaching some data package to a transaction so it can move. And the payments world for decades has been centered around the simplicity of, hey, I have to authorize a transaction, I have to clear, and I have to settle it. That's no longer the case. And this is where blockchain is really headed, is this just massive explosion and change in the way that things work. Of you can attach data to these transactions, and it can move freely, quickly. And that's why we have the private permission. We build a chain that's 1 second transaction times. We slaved our chain to 1 second, so that we can still have that payment, just functionality, but you can still have the data available, at this, or attached at the same time. And that at the end of the day is the big, like, oh my goodness, change moment. Like, all the politicians have been pushing for regulatory compliance, and this is the perfect technology or type of use case for them to achieve their own goals through this attachment of data and payments.
And I think that is also one of, I think, the unique combinations that you provide, because both you have the responsible part, which I think is one of the most transparent use cases of using blockchain technology. At the same time, the speed of the transactions, but also the ability to make sure that that gold connects to the coin that you hold is tremendous. But the next steps, like knowing that right now we are in kind of an upwards trend in this environment, where do you see, let's say, Gcoin in 2 or 3 years from now, when maybe part of the whole hype around what we see right now in the market might be over, when it's maybe a more mature and established market? What is, let's say, the ideal case that you see for Gcoin then?
Yeah, so I see, for me, I see the Gcoin kind of living or coexisting in the new world and also in the old world. So how, and we're very focused on how can we put out vehicles that investors can access Gcoin, in addition to the blockchain, and more digital world can access this asset, right? And so it's an asset, it's not a security, but at the same time, we want to make sure that it can coexist between the investment world, the payments world, the FX world, and so that's really what we're focused on, our integrations, and making it easy for this token. And the blockchain has a buzzword called interoperability, right? And just how can you move from one chain to the other chain and back and forth. We think about interoperability. Well, how do you move from one ecosystem to the other ecosystem? How can you be a DTC, cleared instrument, and how can you be on a private permission chain and a public chain and in a banking system, all at the same time, and so that it can flow back and forth amongst all of these different liquidity pools. And if we're successful in interconnecting these, or creating this interoperability between these ecosystems, that's where we could have just tremendous success. The world is just seeks out liquidity on a daily basis, but certainly in times of any kind of economic volatility or different things. And so that's what we're trying to do, is create this interconnectedness to be there for every day, but also to be there for the rainy day too, for users.
Perfect. And what do you see as the role of, let's say, a company like 10Clouds in the process of making sure that we can get to that longer term, let's say, goals and success that you just mentioned?
Well, I mean, it's for those who are watching and who don't know 10Clouds as well. I mean, we've worked with 10Clouds, as you heard, for a long time now, and it's inevitably we go through this kind of smaller team, bigger team, as we are pushing for a new feature, for a new market, or whatever the case may be. And 10Clouds has helped us do that, just accordion up and down on a dynamic basis of, oh, I need a Java person, or I need whatever is the next project that we don't have enough resources of, right? And so we've have appreciated your ability to help us not only with your direct resources, but also kind of broader network, find the right tools, human capital tools that were needed to take us or to that next project completion. There's always project management work to do. It's the pace of innovation within the blockchain world is so fast. And we built off of Ethereum effectively. So we took Quorum that JP Morgan did, and we built something called QoS. So you have an innovation in Ethereum, Quorum updates, QoS updates, and so Gcoin sits on our QoS network. So it's always something updating, always another interesting feature. Oh, we need to bring this into the ecosystem. We benefit immensely from the whole public development that's going on in Ethereum and other chains as well, frankly. But having you to help us, apply and reapply and rethink is going to be constant going forward. Fortunately and unfortunately at the same time, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. But that also, I think, made us in towards that close partnership that we can say that we are now, based upon this scalability and closeness that needed to be there in order to be able to support in that right efforts. And that brings me to the last and final question, because I can imagine that people that are watching this might be like, hey, I would like to know more about Gcoin, or I would love to meet Brent right now. What would be the next spot that we can find either you or Gcoin?
So check us out, gcoin.com. As I said, we're going to be opening the app more globally soon. So as soon as it is available, download it, engage with it. Look, we have some pretty big announcements coming out over the next few months here, and we took such a private, low profile build, but now that we've opened up and we're talking and moving into more of these public partnerships, we're gonna put our story out there. We'll share it through LinkedIn, different social media platforms, these types of chats. And so hit us on LinkedIn, email, whatever. We want to partner with as many people as possible. We're super excited to see just where it's going. Gcoin was at NASCAR this year. It was pretty cool to see one of the NASCAR teams just jump all over what we're doing, and I'm sure we're going to see Gcoin in a lot of places going forward here.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate tremendously the time for being on this interview. Again, I'm very much happy with the collaboration we had so far, and I'm really curious to see where we will be going towards together, but specifically Gcoin being adapted and hopefully worldwide used in upcoming months to come. So thank you so much, Brent.
Great. Thanks, Dennis. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.